Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to my channel. I just wanted to do a video for you guys on how I like to make my knife handles. So this is one of the set of 4 that I did. If you follow the video, you'll kind of see how I use a template, how I drill the holes for the pins, cut the pins, glue it, and you kind of see the process from start to finish. Thank you for tuning in. Alright guys, so when I do my handles, I like to use a tape template, and it gives me a little bit more accurate shape of the actual tang that I'm working with. And once I do this tape template, I just transfer it over to the handle scales that I'm using. And I like to use the scroll saw when I cut my handle scales. I see some people, or really most people, use like a bandsaw, but I do a lot of curves in my handles, so I found that the scroll saw actually is a little bit easier for me to use than trying to use a bandsaw with the wide blade. I mean, I have it and I've tried. Using the scroll saw for me, I just use a little bit less finish sanding, trying to make both sides match. So when I'm doing this, I do one side, I mark it left, right, I mark the holes, and I just repeat the process. And then once I get them cut out and the holes drilled, I'll usually put it on the belt sander and kind of make them mirror before I get them ready to attach to the tang. This is just the way that I do it. I mean, there's tons of ways. I guess you could even do it by hand if you wanted to. But this works for me. Just drop me a note in the comments if you do something better, worse, if you like it, if you don't. But yeah, so this is how I cut my handles out. When it comes to drilling my pinholes, I use the same setup, same bit that I drilled the tang with, which is a Harbor Freight mini milling machine. I choose this over my normal drill press because I can control the speed. It has a better variable speed than my normal drill press. But this is pretty straightforward. I just line up the pinholes with the drill bit, I drill it, and then afterwards I may have to take a drill bit on a regular drill and just kind of run it through once or twice, and then the pins usually fit pretty well through there. When it comes to cutting my brass pins, I just use my portable bandsaw that I have set up that I cut the rest of my metal. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So this is probably one of the more critical parts as far as being time sensitive. Typically I use a 2-part epoxy, 5-minute quick cure, which realistically, once you mix it up, you probably only have about 3 minutes, maybe, depending on the temperature and how well you mixed it, how much, if you put extra hardener on accident. But it should be a 1-to-1, 50%, 50% ratio when you mix it. So I mix it separate. I try to put equal parts side by side so I can measure it, not exactly, but close enough. And then I mix it with a little spreader. Prior to that, I get my tang ready. I get my handle material ready. I have everything already pre-fit, pre-taped, and I put epoxy on each handle scale, and then I put epoxy on the tang, and then I put them together, clamp them, and let it sit. I typically let my handles cure for usually a day. I've seen where it's really kind of usable within an hour. I'm not in a rush. I'm not on, Forged in Fire, so I'm not having to rush it. So I just take my time. I let it cure. at least for a day before I start messing with it. But yeah, you got to be quick. You got to be ready, because once you get to this stage of putting the handle together, time is very critical. Fit up is very critical. So I always have everything ready right there, right next to each other. So once I get to this part where I'm putting it together, I clean the excess off, because that's just less sanding you got to do later. This two-part epoxy, it gums the belts up really bad. So the more preventative cleaning you can do prior to getting on the belt sander, the little bit quicker and easier process would be when you go to do your finish sanding. But here it is. So after I clamp it and everything looks good, I still go back and I try to remove any squeeze out, or if I see a spot that maybe needs just a little bit filled in here and there, I'll use that. But at this stage, the epoxy is already starting to get real sticky. It's starting to cure, so you got to move fast. As you can see, when I pulled it up, it was really stringy. So make sure you're quick, and then remove your tape before it dries. Make sure it didn't get on your blade, and make sure it's not like all messy on your handle scale. After I've allowed the epoxy to dry for at least a day, I'll go back and I'll use my portable bandsaw just to cut off the excess pins before I get ready to sand and shape it. This is just a quick, fast way I like to do it. There's other ways, but yeah, this is how I do it. So when you get to this point of the process, I've already hand sanded it up to 1500 grit for this handle, which will give you a pretty decent polish. Biggest thing is to make sure that you've removed all your 80 grit, your 180, 320 scratches from the wood. Make sure it looks really nice. It should look like a dull polish once you get it ready to be polished. And I use a polishing wheel that's attached to my 2x72 belt grinder, and just a little bit of compound, and I work it back and forth. The handle will heat up as you're polishing it, so just make sure you keep it moving, not in the same spot. You can burn it, but just work it back and forth, as you can see I'm doing here. So this video is sped up just a little bit. I mean, this process typically takes 10 minutes maybe per side, depending on how meticulous you want to be with your polish. So I usually go left to right, and once the whole thing's polished, then I'll do from the tip of the tang up to the front of the handle scale, and usually it produces a pretty good polish. So it's up to you guys. You could take it up to 4,000 grit, 5,000 grit, and that'd be a very shiny, polished handle that you'd have. But for this is going to be used every day, so I did what I would consider like a medium polish on it. But as you can see here, I mean, it's shiny, but it's not a mirror. So anyway, guys, give it a try. All right, YouTube, so this is how I make my handles, and this is the reveal of the set of 4 matching knives or semi-matching knives that I made. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you liked my video. Please like, subscribe, drop me comments, any questions you have, anything, any tips you can give me for my experienced knife makers out there. But otherwise, stay tuned for more content. Thank you.